It's the Wilk Report. I'm Michael Wilk, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, with a review of Cobra Kai Season 2, Episode 6, Take a Right. And we've got a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to get right down to it. Been away for a while, busy with real life and stuff. So anyway, let's get down to the review. We open up picking up from last time with the Miyagi-do dojo destroyed. Johnny is making everyone do push-ups to find out who actually went ahead and did it. Krees knows, of course, because he is the one who pushed Hawk, and Johnny's like, I don't have any love for Daniel, but, this is not what we do, not anymore. And he's looking right at Krees when he says it, but he gets a phone call that basically takes him out of the picture. Meanwhile, Hawk, he wants to confess, but Krees tells him, no, let me handle it. And Krees is up to no good because he's that real snake in the grass. Obviously, he hasn't really changed at all. Johnny's trying to redeem him, but it's not happening. Meanwhile, the kids who left Cobra Kai at the end of episode 5 show up at Miyagi-do wanting to join. Robbie is not so convinced, because, they were Cobra Kai and they were the ones who were beating up Dimitri at the mall. And Dimitri's not really having it either. But, Daniel kind of chastises Robbie and Dimitri a little bit, saying, look, they're here now. Chris, the lead kid from the Cobra Kai gang, they're sincerely apologetic and they want to join and actually learn real karate. Meanwhile, Johnny visits his friend Tommy in the hospital, and I love how they got all the cast members from the original Karate Kid movie back. So Johnny's friend Tommy is dying from cancer. Okay, it spread to his brain, and he's basically a goner. He's got maybe a few days left at best. So, but he's. This is bringing back old memories. Bobby, the other bald-headed guy, is now a pastor. And we really get some character building here because in the intervening 35 years since the original Karate Kid film, the other members of Cobra Kai from Johnny's generation moved on. They actually let go of Cobra Kai, and for the most part, they've, done better, except for one guy who's in jail. Meanwhile, Krees is pretending to, make the students, get punished for their role. But then he outs Hawk as the one who destroyed the dojo. But then he goes ahead and pulls another one of his tricks by then accusing Miguel, who had nothing to do with it, and Tori and everyone else, saying basically, when one Cobra Kai does something, all the Cobra Kai does something, because Cobra Kai is everyone, not just one individual within it. Basically, it's a whole organism, and whenever one of its parts does something, the rest of the organism has to take responsibility for it. So, Krees is basically, running it like a military operation now, in keeping. Meanwhile, Johnny is in San Bernardino with Tommy and Bobby and his other friend, Jimmy, and they're taking Tommy out for one last road trip before the end. And, they're having moments, they're reminiscing about good old times, and really, the drama here is just really awesome here. And, later they meet up in a bar and, they're reminiscing about old times, saying, what they've been doing with their lives. And Johnny, kind of reveals, look, I've reopened the dojo, and, they're a little bit wary about it, especially knowing that Krees is back. Meanwhile, Krees is teaching the Cobra Kai students to show no mercy. He's encouraging Tori to kick an opponent who's down. Miguel is like, no, wait, this isn't what Sensei Lawrence is teaching us. He's teaching us, that there's, uh, we have to act with honor. And, of course, the poor kid who's about to get his ass beat, uh, obviously he's not liking this whole thing. But, like I said, Miguel's, kind of challenging this a bit. He's still a good kid at heart. Uh, he's not corrupted, and he's not, so paranoid about being weak like Hawk is, that he's willing to do things uh, that are dishonorable and maybe kind of scummy. But Kreese is like, what did you say to me? But says, okay, fine. Sensei Lawrence is right. When you're on the tournament circuit, yeah, you have to abide by the rules and behave with honor. But when you're on the street, however, it's a whole different ball game. Meanwhile, Johnny and the others come upon some douchebag who's picking on basically he's trying to get fresh with some woman, and they they start kicking ass. Especially when Mr. Douchebag with rings in his ears. Yeah, you don't want to do that to someone who knows karate and is inclined to fight dirty when the situation calls for it. So, the guys kick ass, and they're standing over the broken bodies of their opponents. But they did it doing the honorable thing by defending someone who is in distress. They're not looking for a fight, but the fight kind of found them. Meanwhile, Daniel is kind of recounting to his students because Dimitri and Robbie are really not happy with Chris for what he did back in the mall. But Daniel's explaining, the events of Karate Kid 3 when he joined Cobra Kai, and how it kind of turned him into an asshole before, things worked out. Tori, because Miguel's, kind of asking Tori, what's going on with Kreese, and she kind of tells, a bit of her backstory, where her mom, used to work as a waitress at a restaurant, and sometimes she'd bring leftovers home to, feed the kids. Then her boss found out and fired her. So since life shows no mercy, she won't. And but meanwhile, Tommy and Johnny are having their final conversation. Tommy just kind of urges Johnny to make the most of what time he's got. And it's really heartfelt and really dramatic. Meanwhile, Daniel is, whipping his students into shape the Miyagi-Do way, which is encouraging teamwork. And, Miguel comes to Kreese and, apologizes for challenging his authority. And Kreese is like, it's no problem. You were defending Sensei Lawrence, and, he's a good guy. His heart's in the right place, but he's misguided. And this is, Kreese kind of worming his way into Miguel, and he's trying to corrupt him. And then, we close out with Johnny and the others waking up to find that Tommy has passed away in the night, which, it's a really touching scene. The Show Must Go On by Queen, sung by Freddie Mercury, and is, from this final album, Before Dying, plays, and it's really emotionally heartrending, and it just is so unbelievably good, this episode. And once again, Cobra Kai is proving that you don't need to pander to identity politics or to the lowest common denominator. You don't need to talk down to the audience. You just need to talk to your audience, and you can actually have your messaging within your writing, because obviously Kreese is the bad guy here, and it's kind of presenting some of the things that make him tick, which any, and I don't like to kind of make this comparison because I don't know if it's entirely accurate to do it, but if you take the Disney villain, okay, for a long time, one of the things that made Disney villains so memorable was that, he wasn't just some two-dimensional cartoon, which, let's face it, very often they are, quite literally, but, in terms of making them memorable, you don't want to make your villain, some mustache-twirling psychopath, even if he or she is, but you want to humanize the villain just enough to where it's like, yeah, can almost sympathize with the villain, because he's humanized, and that makes him more interesting, more compelling, so that when he does these horrible things to the heroes, it really makes an impact because it's someone who comes across as more realistic, and that kind of heightens the drama, and that's good storytelling. So Krees, like I said, he's been informed by his experiences on the battlefield. His body left it, his mind never did. And again, I've met several people, actually cohabitated with one for a couple years, who were actually exactly like this, where that they never really left the military, and it's turned them into complete assholes in life, where they have to treat everyone like a soldier around them, and they disdain anyone who they see as weak. So I mean, so the way Martin Kove is playing Kreese and the way the character is written, it's just they're fleshing him out as a villain, giving him a bit of a backstory, making him appear more sympathetic in certain areas where, yeah, you kind of feel sorry for the guy. You feel pity for him because, yeah, I mean, he's had a rough life himself. He's had his issues stemming from his past, and you can kind of see where he went wrong in life and why. And so, even though you still are encouraged to condemn his actions, you can't help but not understand them. And so the challenge here for Johnny and for Daniel in the long run is to, I mean, yeah, they want to give people a second chance who've earned it and who are willing to make an honest effort to change. But some people just cannot change because their life's experiences just they've completely screwed the person up so badly that they prove that person proves irredeemable and just keeps repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again, just never learns. And unfortunately, that's that's life. But the drama here is just really really great here, and I'm really looking forward to next episode review because this is when shit really starts to hit the fan. It's when Johnny, finally realizes that Kreese is beyond redemption, and has to push him back out of Cobra Kai because he's corrupting his students. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this. Like I said, busy couple of weeks. Trying to get back into the swing of things. Next time, I'm gonna, before I review episode 7, I got to deal with another Kowalski lie fest here because he's going after Midnight's Edge again and a couple of other channels for their reporting on the behind the scenes drama at CBS and STD and the Picard show, which if you've been watching those channels, the rumors are flying once again, and Kowalski's all in like, oh, they're peddling conspiracy theories without any evidence. Well, I'll have something to say about that. Anyway, if you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive notifications whenever we upload new content. And if you want to help support the channel, keep the lights on, help us bring you more content, head over to our Patreon or Subscribestar page. We can't do this without you. Until next time, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report saying take care, good night, I'm out.